Welcome to the whole new world of learning English. We at Hello English welcome you all and appreciate your efforts that you have taken to be connected with us. Being connected means being aligned with us. Being connected helps us do so many things that we cannot do while we are all alone. English, the main language of the day, the language that the entire world follows, the language that everybody wants to learn. We have been helping you out with learning English in a fun way. Our new world is all connected with you. Our new world is all full of it by those different words that we have put on the slide. They are very easy, and that is where we come into action. We are here to you mean by preposition. See, there was a rule set up by Britishers. If you remember, they always used to say divide and rule. Divide and rule. What does this mean? Divide and rule means when you cut down two things into pieces, they are easy to be diagnosed, or it's easier for us to find what is within it, right? But without breaking, everything would look the same. If I look at this particular uh, what's a remote, I don't know what is inside this. Once I break it into two, I would know what is inside this, right? So similarly, when we are talking about preposition, if I break that word into two, it's preposition. Position, that means what? It tells us about position of something, position of anything that is kept anywhere. For example, if I say, where is the remote control? The remote control is on my hand. You see, it's the palm and the remote control. The remote control is on my hand. Where is the battery? The battery is in the remote control, right? So these are some things that we use daily, but we do not know. Might be, probably, there are chances that we do not know that these words are called prepositions, and how do they help us, and what are the different ways that prepositions exist. We would be covering just three basic types, that is time, place, and direction. English is a wonderful language which has a wide vocabulary and, yes, a wonderful grammar. But everybody has their own usage, and there comes when we divide that usage based on the use that you do. Now, you people have to focus on these three things, and that is where we take today's session forward to. Prepositions of time. What are prepositions of time? That which go with the time. Now, if I place something on something, you know that I am talking about some object, and I am talking about time of the year, time of the day, time of the month. So when we deal with that, we use in, on, and at. We use it off and on every day. I don't know how many times do we use that. And yes, in the professional life, it goes on and on. A meeting is in the meeting room. The meeting is on Monday. The meeting is at 4 o'clock. We cannot shuffle them. We cannot replace them by each other. So we have to make sure that we use perfect prepositions with the perfect thing. Now, in has a broader version. When I say I was born in 2019, so it's a wide base. So I can say the time period used in is the largest. In takes the largest time period. Now, how is that? Because if I say I was born in 2019, you know that I was born on some day in some month, year 2019. So I have all 12 months. All right. Particular time of the day or month or an year. So we use in for all these things. We use it for time of the day. We use it for a month. We use it for an year. So in the evening, in the afternoon, in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. In the third week of April, in the second week of April, in the first week of April, and so on. a century or a specific time in the past or future. So we use in the 20th century, in the early days, in Stone Age. So these are some usages which go with in as the preposition. When I talk about on, so I'm again being particular about one particular day. Now, what is that one particular day? It can be on Sunday, on Monday. Then we also have on 7th of this month, on 30th of this month, on the last Thursday of this month. So this is how we discuss, and this is how we finalize the dates on particular days. So I got a wonderful present on my birthday. So it's on my birthday. Again, when I talk about in, I have a longer time period. When I talk about on, supposedly if I'm talking about on that particular day, I have all 365. I have all entire day, 24 hours. In that 24 hours, I have done something. All right. When I talk about on a day, on a particular date, on my birthday, on Independence Day, on Holi, but we do not say on Diwali. We say during Diwali, in Diwali. All right. Then time of the clock. So let us meet at 3 o'clock, not on 3 o'clock. So this is something that we have to really understand and pay attention to when we use these prepositions of time. When we look at, on, in, this is a wonderful chart which helps us understand everything in a wonderful way, because these different shapes and colors, they help or they connect with us in a wonderful manner. When I say at, I use at with at night, but in morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, but at night, at this moment, at present, at the same time, at the weekend, right? Uh, if we are talking about days of the week, they are always on. If we are talking about weeks, months, seasons, decades, centuries, it's always in. Now, if I'm talking about place, which is our next topic, like I told you, my watch is on my hand, but my watch is in my hand. Okay. Now there is a difference. When I say on my hand, you can see here. When I say in my hand, you can see here. Okay. So let us move ahead. If you give somebody, you have to make somebody read somewhere. So how is it that you speak those sentences without using prepositions? So it's not only prepositions are used by people who are in the office, or prepositions are used by people who are at home. It's about using prepositions throughout your life, right? When I talk about a particular point, when I say I'm in the garden, it's again a big space. So I am in the garden, I'm in somewhere in the garden. I didn't tell you some specific place. I did not describe a place wherein you can find me. Now, when you enter into the garden, you have to keep on searching for me, but I'm in the garden somewhere. But when I say I'm at the bus stop, you won't go to the garden, or you won't go to the temple, or you won't go to the hotel. You would directly come and see me at the bus stop, at the cinema, at the corner, at the top of the hill. So wherever we are talking about a particular point, we have to use at. Similar is the thing that we do with time also. So at 4 o'clock, not on 4 o'clock, but on 4th, right? Both are numbers, but the usages, they differ when we use them with prepositions. Again, there is a common thing that, like I told you, if the watch is on and I say on, but if I enclose it into the area, I said in my hand. But when we are bus, if we talk about a bus or a train or a plane or a ship, we always say I am on the ship, on the train, on the plane, on the bus. All right. Why is this? If you have traveled in an aeroplane, which everybody does these days, so when we are talking to them, they'll say you'll get this on board, or it's free on board, or you can buy this on board. So on board, not in board, right? So on bus, on train. Where are you? I'm on the bus. Where are you going? When are you going? And how are you going? I'm going on a train. All right. When we are talking about some enclosed, we also use in, but the difference is the specific place takes up specific preposition. Like if I say I'm in the kitchen, I cannot say I'm on the kitchen. If I'm talking about a country, I have to say I am in New York. If I'm talking about a particular country, if I'm talking about a particular city, I can say I am in Jaipur or I am in Mumbai. All right. So these are different prepositions that we use for time as well as place. Generally, if you look at this slide, it gives you an entire overview of how you should use prepositions of place on the table, on the blackboard, on the page, not in the page, but in the notebook, on a wall, on a roof, on the map, at the bus stop, at the entrance, at the front of the chair, at the bottom of the glass, at the edge of the roof. Right? So these are few prepositions of place, few prepositions that we use with reference to place. Places having some boundaries. So when I have some boundaries which I can see, I would use in a school, in a hall, in the building, in the library, in the garden, and so on. When I'm talking about preposition of direction, we learned preposition of time, place, now movement, or preposition of direction. They tell us about how the things are moving. Now, if I say above, the picture hangs above my bed. Across, you must go across this road. There isn't a bridge across the river. So when we cross something, when we use something to cross something, so we use across, across. After, after is always next. So a cat ran after the dog. Don't run after me. Against, the bird flew against the window. So it's flying like this. Now this is the window and the bird is flying like this. So the bird flew against the window. Along, we are walking along the beach. Among, I like being among good people. I like being with Hello English. At, I arrived at the meeting. Behind, the house is behind the supermarket. And you all can see there are so many prepositions that are listed over here. Into, on, are a bit different. We generally don't use them, but yes, using them will always result in an effective communication because they are meant to give specific information. It's very essential to use perfect prepositions so that your communication becomes clear, so that you become apt while we are talking to someone. Now, comparatives. Comparatives, the word itself suggests that we are comparing two things. How are we comparing two things? We cannot compare one something that is really indifferent. I cannot say I am wearing the biggest watch. Can I compare? Am I giving some degree over here? No, I am not. Now, if everyone is eating food, so I cannot say, is the food hottest? Right? If I'm comparing, I have to use something called as ER. The end sound or the end letter will be R and the sound would be R. Now, this is the basic difference between comparatives and superlatives. We are going to see superlatives towards in the next slide. But for this, we are doing comparatives. Comparatives compares two things. Now I cannot compare single thing. If I'm comparing a single thing, then I'm giving my judgment, then I'm giving my statement, and in that case, you will use the superlative form of the word, right? So if you can see in the first picture, it's heavy, heavier, heaviest. How is it? It's heavy, heavier, heaviest. So if you can just look at my highlighter, I would take you over there. Now, this boy is holding a bag which is very heavy. This one is heavier than the first fellow, but the last bag is heaviest. You can also see the size of those bags. Big, bigger, biggest. In the next picture, if you look at the picture, it's hot. So that person is basking in the sun. He's enjoying the sun. What if we put him into the fire? No, it's hotter than the sun. And if you look here, this person is with a very big uh, pot wherein he is probably cooking, and it's on the fire. So it's hottest. When we look at the third picture, a girl is crying. The second girl is crying real hard, and the third one is uncontrollably crying. So the first word says the girl is sad. The second says she's sadder than the first one. Third, the third one says saddest. That means there is no one who can be sadder than her. Then the last slide, which is very funny. So it goes like funny, funnier, funniest. All right. And they always have one word that is called than. So whenever we are using comparatives, always remember to use than. Greater than, smaller than, hotter than, heavier than, funnier than, sadder than, bigger than. So we always use er towards the end and than before that. So that shows comparatives. Like everything has a structure, even comparatives have a structure. When we move ahead, if you can see, there are few objects and I have put some places over there, and some people, they are doing some different things. If you look at the first shoes, my trainer's shoes are dirtier than me, or my trainer's shoes are older than me. If I look at the next shoe, they look pretty new. So I would say Danny's trainer's shoes are new. This is a statement, but when I have to give comparison, I would say Danny's trainer's shoes are newer than me. My mom's shoes are more comfortable than me. Now, herein I did not add er to the word, whereas I added more as a word to show that I am comparing two things. How funny it would sound if I say comfortabler, comfortabler. It would sound something different and weird, and we would not like to use so many syllables, so many sounds in a word. If we look at the two streets, I can compare that this street, the Regent Street, is busier than James Street. Otherwise, I can also say Regent Street is the busiest. Similarly, you can create sentences using the two words given below, clean and dirty. So, my street is cleaner than Regent Street, or the person staying at Regent Street will say, my street is far more busier than her street, right? Now talking about these games, so this sport is dangerous, more dangerous. I'm comparing. Then I say more dangerous than swimming, or more dangerous than weightlifting, or more dangerous than boxing, because even in the boxing ring, you have some things under your control. Adverbs of time. Now, what do we see when I say adverbs of time? An adverb is a verb that tells us about how often, when, and where things are happening. The turtle walked slowly. He went to the beach today. My dog ran over there. So there are few things that happen here and there, and if we are told about how often the things are happening, those words are called adverbs, right? And these adverbs are further divided into adverbs of time. All right. If you look at this tiny girl is standing in the messy room. Look at the sentences. Clean up your room now. I asked you to do it yesterday. If you don't tidy up weekly, you will soon disappear under the mess. Oh my god, that's so scary. So one should always keep their rooms clean. One should always take care of their things. If they lie here and there, it's you would soon disappear under the mess. Now, these words like now, yesterday, weekly, soon, they are nothing but those words that tell you about what is happening in and around you. Adverbs of time is a word that describes when, for how long, or how often a certain action has happened. They are placed at the end of the sentence. Robin swindled the sheriff of Nottingham yesterday. Ira is sick of living in chaos, so she is going to clean her house tomorrow. These are different ways that you can use your adverbs of time. An adverb of time also describes how long an action occurred. So if you look at these sentences, the newspaper arrives daily. So it's not a process, but they have some schedule that the newspaper arrives daily. She stayed at her sister's house all day. So where did she go? She did not go to the cinema, she did not go to the picnic, whereas she stayed at her sister's house for the whole day, all day. Due to my sickness, my father was up the whole night yesterday. We go out for dinner every weekend. So what is the frequency? When all do we go for dinner? So we go for dinner every weekend. Are you coming to the office tomorrow? So I'm asking here. So if you look at these sentences, they would let us know, or they are there to tell us the different usages of adverb of time. So to remember all day, yesterday, daily, every weekend, tomorrow. So I've tried to use all of them so that it helps you learn in a better way. If there are any queries, just get back to us. Moving ahead, while using more than one adverb of time in a sentence, use them in the following order. Now, like I told you, when we sit for our lunch, we do not start our lunch with these. There's nothing wrong in that. If you like that, you can have that. Like I am a person who loves sweets, so I might have sweet at any time of the day. But when we are with people or when we are dealing with some things, we have to really make sure that we use proper words. And based on that, we also should give importance to the chronological order of the things that are happening. While using adverbs of time, we should always make sure that how long gets the most priority. Later on, we can use how often, which is used much lesser than the first one. And when will give you just an information about when did a particular thing happen or when did a particular thing occur. Moving ahead, still. We use this word quite often, right? So still means in, if I talk about Hindi language, still means abhi tak. Still expresses continuity. In positive sentence, it is placed before the main verb and after the auxiliary verb. Now, what are auxiliary verbs? Don't get scared by the words. They are just helping words. They just supporting actors in the movie. So where are they placed in positive sentences? If I talk about a positive sentence like, do you still work for PLI? So PLI is the name of the office. So do you still work for them? Abhi tak, do you still work for PLI? Are you still in the bus? You haven't reached home. Are you still in the bus? I am still not happy. So what is wrong with me? I am still not happy. Yet. When is yet used? Yet is used in questions in negative sentences to indicate that something that has not happened or may not have happened but is expected to happen. Ab tak, which is in Hindi ab tak, but it's not a foolproof meaning or the foolproof usage of the word yet, but it is very close to the meaning called ab tak in Hindi. Now, this unlike still does not come somewhere before the auxiliary verb or after the auxiliary verb, but it comes towards the end. So she hasn't reached yet. She hasn't eaten yet. They haven't started yet. So it always takes up the final position or the last part of the sentence. What are the basic areas that we use yet with? We use yet to request information. We use yet to give some negative answers. I have not received my payment yet. To give statements, she has not returned yet. To show surprise. Oh wow, you were waiting for me yet. So these are three different usages of the word yet. If you look at this chart, our learning would be far more clear. It has all the words and they are grouped into sections like adverbs that can use in two. Now, what are these two positions? These two positions are towards the end and in the. So how do we use it towards the end? Visit France, frequently visit France. Now, they take up the importance of the event. Now, if you are telling someone, I visit France frequently. So the other person might not be visiting France frequently. So it's like you are showing your supremacy. When you show your supremacy, it becomes a strong position. Or when I talk about weaker position, I frequently visit France. So I come there often. There is nothing much to speak about it. So it's like the weaker position. If you look at another sentence, I go to opera occasionally. So when do I go to opera? I go to opera occasionally, not always. Say twice a month or twice in 3 months or whatever is the schedule. But if I look at the same word in the next sentence, I would say I occasionally go to the opera. Now herein my going occasionally sounds important, or it tells us about the position that she occasionally visits opera. That means it's not new. Often I jog in the morning. It's a strong position. Often. I often jog in the morning. So immediately you'll get to know that the person is in the weaker sense. If I talk about the word regularly, which is commonly used by all of us, I come to this museum regularly. I regularly come to this museum. Now, this sounds weaker, whereas I come to the museum regularly. Now, it depends on you. What do you choose? What are your usages? If you would like to see it in the weaker position, you use it towards the first part of the sentence. If you would like to get a stronger position, use it towards the end of the sentence. What did we learn in today's session? Let us quickly revise and go through it. We learned prepositions like on, in, under, off, over, at. These are nothing but prepositions. They tell us about the different positions of the things that are lying. When I talk about comparatives, my house is bigger than yours. I'm comparing. I told you there are two words that come. One is than and one is er towards the end of any word. So your grade is worse than mine. Pacific Ocean is deeper than Arctic Ocean. So I'm using er plus than. When I move towards superlatives is the last degree, or if I say she is the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. So I've said most beautiful. That means there is no one other than her who is beautiful. I can't find my most I can't find my most comfortable jeans. This means what? I have a jeans which is most comfortable. So probably I'm trying to be out today or I'm planning to be out today. So in that case, I would use the superlative most, smallest, biggest, smartest, most interesting book I have ever read. So these words are nothing. They are not here to confuse you, but to enhance your knowledge about English and to make you fluent in English. Uh, the last topic was adverb of time. It talks about when did an action take place, how long was it taking place, and how often. What is the frequency, right? So again, frequently becomes a word of adverb of time family. Never, sometimes, often, and nearly. When I talk about how long, it's like all the morning, all the night, whole night, 4 hours since last week. So they are all telling us about the duration of the event. And when will always tell you about when did something happen. So yesterday or tomorrow or last year. So it ranges from where are you? It ranges from what is your intention? It ranges from what is it that you would like to convey. So doing it this way in a tabular form, it helps us. So after this session, you also can make 4 different columns wherein you can write what did you learn today. So see, we have also given you an activity, a homework that you would be engrossed into after going home. I hope you all enjoyed today's session. A warm welcome to everyone who has joined this session and everyone who has benefited from this session. I am Pratishtha and I would take a leave and really appreciate you all for being here with me, being cooperating with me, and being wonderful audience. Thank you once again for your patient listening. We would appreciate if you let us know what are the next topics that you would like to cover, and we are open for any questions that you have. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to the whole new world of learning.